Okay, so I've been talking about the job system that I have for my for looking for jobs, and that I built, and that's it's giving me tons of leads all the time. I wanted to show that because I think it's important that people that claim to be doing AI work, and especially those that are like me, trying to teach people and show people how things are done. They actually see how things work. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start at a, sort of the end of it, where I manage all of it, and I'm going to show sort of the underlying parts, so you see how, at least it's a complex system, so there's a lot of moving parts here. Actually, let me start with this, right? Because this is a complex system with tools and skills, and then MCPs and things that do multiple things for me. I have my agent here in this roles folder, and if you've been following me on LinkedIn, you might recognize Rob, and Rob is sort of my chief of staff. The key, we're gonna actually probably be speaking a bit with Rob later, but for now at least we're gonna have the job hunter and the researcher. They're gonna be doing things. If you have been reading my book, or attending the course on agent design, you'll have recognized things like the researcher here. But you'll also sort of see the pattern here, which is like we have this this agent file, or this definition. This one is fairly simple. It's a job hunter. It has some knowledge and things like that. And we can it's probably better to go into it in another video. But essentially, this is how I design my agents. They have their definition file, and then they have a knowledge file, and they can do different things. They have tasks, and we'll see how these actually work. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to be using the researcher a bit, and I'm going to show you some things here. By the way, these are prompts that I have set up specifically for specific things that I would like to do, or have researched. So these are essentially the different types of prompts that I would set up for the researcher, right? So if you have been going through that course on agents, you might recognize my researcher agent here. This is slightly more complex than the one that is in the course or in the book, but it's still it's a fairly simple file. It's 100 and some odd lines of code, and it's actually too much. But I guess that's not really important. And then, like I said, Rob is sort of doing the chief of staff work here, and managing all the other things. Rob is a fairly complex thing, and it kind of needs to be fairly complex as well. But again, it's 200 lines of code, right? And so all the other things that happen inside this job system is sort of dealing with my research stuff, my what I'm looking for, my pitch, what my strengths are, my background. My agents have been interviewing me in depth on all of these things in order to understand everything about my resume and my background and my skill set, so it knows exactly what I am capable of doing and what I have done and what the impact would be if someone were to hire me, right? So all of this is contained in these profiles here, and there's like a ton of information here. And if I go and do something like here, you sort of see this background here, and more. Here's the Robin concierge story. Like there's information here that spans a ton of different things that have been gained by these agents, by talking with me and then learning from me, right? So I kind of now I start on the how the sausage is made part of this. Let me show you the end of this, because this is a relatively complex system, and what you've seen so far is kind of just a small part of this entire system that deals with my job hunting, right? And I haven't run it for a while. I haven't run it for a while because I haven't been prioritizing looking for a job. I've been building writing some books and building my community, and writing content, and looking for clients, which is a similar system to this, but slightly different. But essentially, this is sort of where I I manage all of it. I get an email whenever this runs. Like you can see here, it's like the last one I got was about a couple of weeks ago. And what it does is that every morning it'll send me a list of new jobs that it found. You'll see that these have been scored, and we'll sort of go through how these works. But basically, here's a list of five automatically researched jobs. But there's actually, there's 100 new jobs here. This is just for one day, right? So there's 100 new jobs that is in the system for this day only, and they're sort of organized in tiers here, like how likely are these to be a match for me. So these top five are the most likely, and it sort of does an automatically research about these. And then some of these things are not really really cool. You'll see that there's some of these here that are still awaiting research, and some are like probably just junk jobs that are not actually going to be a good fit for me for whatever reason. But I guess as I get this email, and to manage all of these jobs, I have this ASP.NET app. I should point out, by the way, that all of these things are. I obviously I'm a developer, and I sort of build software, done that my entire life. So I have asked my agents to build this app for me. That may not be just something you can sit down and have an app that does exactly what you want and secure and everything. So this is sort of there's well, in any case, I'll show you the app and you can sort of see how it works. So here's the list of opportunities that are available, and what you'll see is just zoomed in. There we go. That's you can see a bit better. Then I guess these are the jobs that are here. What you'll see here, first of all, there's been a bug here when I've been researching something. We can open one of them and we can see and can sort of show you how this particular job. Yeah, I can see here there's a bug here. Definitely some kind of bug here. Some error. We'll look at this in a moment, but basically this is the first part, which is kind of the metadata about the job. Now this is important. Obviously, this was found this morning actually, and I think the reason why I get this error here is because I ran out of tokens this morning. So we, way too much work. But in any case, I get this score. This score is a mechanical score. At this point, you'll see down here, it's like there's no research brief yet. That's this, and it was supposed to be a brief, but it's some bug. We'll see if we can fix it. But the score, the first score that I get, that determines sort of which tier it ends up in, is basically just a search that's been done, right? So the way this works is that every morning, or when I run this now, but okay, let's assume this is normal. Every morning, my job hunter will go through. Right now it's first of all, it's looking for new sources, new job boards, and places where I can actually get find jobs that are related to my profession. And right now I think it has like 80 sources or something like that, and go through all of these things, all of these boards, and it'll look for jobs that fit my profile somehow. It has search parameters, it can do different things, but basically then for each of them, it will essentially go through and collect some sort of mechanical data. Like for example, are there any hard no's here? Right, and the hard no might be this is actually an internship job. This is a pure equity job. Like I'm kind of want to get paid for doing my work, not just promises about future value. It has some hard passes here, and if these obviously are negative for some reason, then this is not scored as a job at all, right? So this one is basically saying there's no hard nose. There's a pass for the role fit. Is this something that's actually something that I can do? Is this remotely or in Europe? Well, it's remote, so that's fine. Is it a payment here that actually has the salary that I'm looking for? It doesn't mean that this is what they're offering. It doesn't mean that this is what I have as my requirements. And then it does an additional scoring here by sort of seeing how many points I can score and how good it fits me, right? So this might be things like, hey, this is a good job, right? How many skills are they looking for, and how many am I actually qualified for? How many their skill boxes can I tick off. And is it remote, is it fractional, is it a contract, like all these things basically gives me an initial score of this 95 number, right? So now this one has, at some point, I'm guessing this morning, I think I actually got an email earlier about this, but it's not important. It'll send me this and basically recommend this has probably been started automatically for a research thing. And actually, let me try to do this right now and see if this is, if not, we'll just look for another one, right? So I'll if you see at the bottom here now, I have some buttons, and I said, hey, research this one, right? Go deeper into this particular job, because this is a score, and it's like it checks, is the salary okay, is it like where I want it to be, or is it remote, and then is it my particular type of work. But it doesn't tell me anything about the company. It doesn't tell me anything about the work that I would likely be doing, what my colleagues are, who's hiring me, right? So this research now button will basically start a deeper research. If you could hear it right now, you'd hear my fan spinning, and now you see sort of this error is going away as well. We'll see if it actually works. But you'd see now that this research state is running. While we're looking for this, let me go and actually find some other ones that have already been deep researched. So we can pick out ARC, or let's find something else. Something that's kind of interesting here. I know this one. This one might be okay. Anthropic, yay! Anthropic is good, right? So I'll keep this open. We'll see what happens if this one actually works. Should give me either an error or something fairly quickly if it doesn't work. We'll see how it goes, right? So we will. This is now UTC time. It's not actually my time. It's 2:30 here. But why this is going. So let me show you the rest of this for a job that has already been done. Right. So this is now for Anthropic. It's a location which is in Paris, France. I've been looking for work in Europe, so that might be a good thing. It's not remote, but there's a salary, blah blah blah. So I have all of these things. But now you'll see that instead of having sort of this JSON mechanical scoring here, I have a review, a short summary of this research that I've been doing for this one, right? And you see that originally the mechanical score was 91 points, and after doing some research, this has actually gone down to 82 points, right? But generally, I would want to open anything that's above 80, and I casually scroll through the other ones just in case some jobs fall through for whatever reason. You see that this is fairly old. I can go and look at the actual position. This is still open. It's actually been open. Well, it's been posted 6 months ago. So this, yeah. But I guess, so what I get now, let me see if I get this one actually. So we can see a new one here. Is this one done? Still not done, still running. Okay, well, it's running in the background. So what when that research comes back, it'll give me a fairly deep dive into everything about this particular opportunity, right? So you'll see there's a summary here, which is fine. It's like here's Paris applied. I haven't actually read this, but I focus on Claude. Oh, okay, I can build Claude. Let's go and do that. So right now it'll basically tell me why these points have changed, right? It's not entirely important. What's starting to be important is sort of the opportunity. Like what would this job be for me? And it'll do some research here, and it'll highlight thing. And because my agents have learned a lot of things about me, they will take this research and sort of make it fit to my particular profile. But there's an important thing here, and that is that LLMs tend to be very, well, they try to please, right? So I actually outsource all of this research here to an unbiased and neutral, at least ostensibly, researcher role, right? So when I mentioned this earlier, when I'm sort of firing up my researcher here, I give it a prompt, and I'm not actually sure which one. This one, opportunity brief, maybe this one. But essentially, it doesn't actually get sort of my background at when I launch that, or when Job Hunter actually launches that research. It doesn't give sort of the context about me it gives me as a candidate. And as I say, go and review this as the candidate. It doesn't try to please me. It might just be that this that I the researcher gets this job based on I'm being a recruiter and I'm trying to see if this candidate is doing something. So it's not trying to please me. And the reason why I'm doing this again is to basically be able to have my agents act the way that I need them to, right? I don't need someone to tell me that I'm a great person. If I do, I can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, you know what, I'm having a bad day, make me happy. And it'll, compliment everything about me and I'm the greatest person on the planet. That doesn't help me when I need to figure out if this is a good job for me. So in this case, the researcher basically just gets more or less an anonymous briefing about me and said, hey, go and figure out this stuff for me. So what you'll see here, first of all, this is an opportunity. It's tailored to my profile, but anonymously, so it doesn't actually know that. Well, it's not anonymous, but it doesn't know that it's actually researching me as the owner of the system. Um, but it'll give me some research here. It'll give me information about the company, right? And of course, Anthropic is fairly well familiar for me because it's an AI company. It's one of the big ones. But I can still get the information here. It's like, oh, yeah, congratulations, they've raised $30 billion. Actually, that's 30 billion Series G. Yeah, there you go. They raised $30 billion, and here I am trying to make $15 off my ebooks. Well, in any case, I get some deep dive into the company itself, and I get information about the who am I going to be working with, right? So, or who's going to hire me. Now, this is a big company, and they have like a largely automated service and blah blah blah. So I don't know how relevant this is. Let's check in on this one, for example. If this one now has completed, oh, there we go, something even better. There we are. Yeah, so this let's switch over to this one, right? Because this is new. So this is new for me as well. So let's skip Anthropic for now. Fine. This is the package that we just got right now. So after we've done this, it'll drop in the drop downs because blah blah blah. The real constraint is no longer active. Well, that's it's been filled, so it's not a job anymore, which is fine too. Again, I wasn't actually trying to apply for this job, and again, it's been a while since I've been active on this. But if you now look at this, here's actually important information for me. I have no idea what InfoSets was until right now. I don't know anything about them, but I get sort of a brief overview here of what the company might look like. And I'll show you some more stuff that I can do around this. But basically, I get links to the company pages. I get linked to, any articles about them and things like that. And I actually also get who is probably going to be involved in the hiring of this, right? So this might be, in this case, there's a LinkedIn person here. I can go and I can see if this is, hey, this is for InfoSept. They're hiring something, and I can look into them and I can see what they're doing and things like that. So a friend request. If there are other people here, I can also go in here. So it'll also sort of give me, sometimes it will give me some details about this person, like do they have a particular quirky sense of humor, or are they like strictly business, are they from a technical background themselves, like things that might be important when I approach them, so I can say, hey, you know what, here's something we share or whatever. It's just a way to break the ice or something. And there's a job posting here as well, I guess, for this one, which is now listed as not being active. It's active, maybe. Well, in any case. But basically, here's the business owner as well. I might go directly to them and say, here I am. If this is a small company, I might go directly to the owner and say, let's talk, and then here's how I found you. And then I get, in addition to like the people behind this, I now get sort of how I fit in this. Here's my role. And this is like, it doesn't say you, it doesn't like, try to make me feel good about my resume and how well I'm fitting. It'll just give me like, here's problems, right? Here's what I fit, and here's the issues that I have right now. Or when I tried to run this directly, and the researcher was aware of sort of who they were working with, essentially they would just have absolutely no problems. I was the greatest fit for every single job. It's like janitor on a space station. It's like, yeah, but you could do that. You could fly if you just like put your mind to it. You're so all of those things doesn't really matter, and it doesn't help me. So I kind of want to see these things, if these are red flags that I kind of need to be aware of. Like, why would I not be here? I'm not a career data scientist. That's absolutely right. I have no idea how to do data science at all. Well, at least not in any way that I can charge money for. So I get some tips here, and like here's something I can do, blah blah blah. Some questions that I should ask, like if I reach out to these people, what are these, what do I actually want to ask them? And here are things that are problematic, right? They say here that it's already filled. Maybe there's some issues with the remote definition, because sometimes they say, hey, it's remote, but it's like remote if you're within 5 minutes of the office, and then things like that. So there's like concerns that it'll flag for me and say, hey, here's the problems, right? So now we have some sources. We can go and we can look and we can figure all of this stuff out if it's actually real. Sorry. And I can go here, look at whoever this is. I don't know who this is. Not sure why they would be really. Oh, there's actually. Oh, there we go. Someone is actually an advisory board member, chief innovation of. I don't know why this person is coming up, but there's. If I had studied this company, I would probably know this right now. So there's information here. That's useful. Now, if I actually were to say, hey, I would like to actually, go and investigate this thing, I can do two things from here. First, I can say, hey, I'm going to pursue this one, which is fine. It'll show me a thing. If I do, by the way, maybe I'll do that later. But basically, it'll ask me why and what I'm doing and things like that, so we can track sort of what works and what doesn't when I'm actually applying for things. Same thing if I'm dismissing or yeah. But I guess so I can basically do two things right now. I can get this get hired package. I'm going to do that right now, just so that sort of starts in the background, and now you'll see that this get hired package is going to be started out and it's queued, and then it's going to be done at some point. But I can also now go and talk with Rob, and as I mentioned, Rob is my chief of staff. So we understand sort of the roles here. All of the research, including the mechanical testing and the gating at the beginning, that happens every morning. That's done by the job hunter, but it assigns sort of the searching right now, at least, to researcher, right? Which is kind of silly. It worked great when there was like 5 or 10 boards that I was looking at, but now that I have a massive amount of sources, I'm actually considering building something else. But it's still going to be job hunter's job to sort of find these and then mechanically score them, right? But then once I go and sort of do this deep research here, that's done by the researcher agent, right? And now what I want to do, you can see here, I actually fired this up right now. I got a conversation. Let me actually fire this up in this one because this looks better. Review job opportunity. 1425. There we go. And now I have basically started a conversation with Rob because I don't know. I want to ask some questions. I want to, figure out what this remote thing actually means. Blah blah blah. And here you can see this is definitely ChatGPT. It's like, would you like me to give you the real answer for all this? But again, this is where I can have a conversation, and I can ask Rob to do further research. I can ask it, I can give it some feedback and say, hey, you know what, this is not actually it. It looks like this job is hired somewhere, but it's also open on LinkedIn. So, just so you're aware, and maybe they can do some extra research. I don't know what. I can have a conversation with Rob about this job, right? But back in the app itself, what I said is that I created this get hired package. What this get hired package will do, are we done yet? No, we're not actually. It's generating still. But what that get hired package will do is it will essentially, can I get, do I have one that I've already applied to or something like people in AI? I don't know what that is. I want to see if this one is done. No, it's actually it's more than just saying disclosed a team. No, these ones are. Oh no, because I didn't pursued. let's filter by the jobs that I've actually applied to, right? In some, and some of these are just, actually not necessarily that I've actually applied to. But here now, okay, so here we have a package, right? Unless this one is coming up right now. Is it done yet? No, it's not done. So we'll use an old one, right? So here's a job that I applied for, Funnels, Stockholm, Sweden. Nice place. I actually looked at this, and it would actually be cool. You'll see that this says verification failed. Let me show you that package, right? Because now what I get here is a tailored resume, right? Because this resume now will map the requirements of this particular job and focus the text on things that are likely going to get me hired, right? Or at least increase my odds of getting hired. I never heard back from this, so I'm guessing it still didn't work. But basically, here's how this is a fit for them. My specific experiments, my capabilities, professional experience, blah blah blah, things that are relevant. All of these things that are sort of the things that are relevant for this particular job, right? You also get a tailored cover letter, and again, you'll see that it's styled sort of to people. The I mentioned that this is a complex system, right? So what you'll notice here is that first of all, this is actually a fairly bad idea. Um, this doesn't actually do a good job at it. I never was sure why this was so bad. But essentially, so in my job system, right, part of what I'm doing, I'm creating a bunch of content, and I'm writing a bunch of content on LinkedIn, and I want to make sure that I have someone to discuss that content with. I write books, again, going by my books if you haven't done that already. But inside here I have, for example, my voice file. Right? So this is not my speaking file. I have a text to speech system to do this. But here you'll find a guide that content engineer, which is one of my age. Now I know why. Okay, well, fine. I can fix that later. But anyways, this is content engineer's domain, and here is basically how I talk, right? Whether I'm talking right now or I'm writing something, or like how do I talk differently if I'm on a short form video, or if I'm writing a blog post, or if I'm writing a book. Like, how do I do this? What are the phrases I'm using? What do I never say, right? If I'm going to ask for something to be rewritten in my voice, it might be that I have a piece of content and I'm not happy with it. I just want to move my head out of things. I would ask for a rewrite just to get a different take on things. I don't use AI for writing. I use it mainly as a sparring partner, and you can sort of see this in some of my here, for example. Um, you'll see that this is just reviewing everything. This is for the latest book on context engineering. Um, you'll see that this doesn't actually give me any content. It just says, hey, some grammar and stuff like that. Here's something that you may want to, investigate. Are you sure you want to make this claim? Things like that. It doesn't actually write this content for me. But I guess so content engineer now has this style guide. What it should have done, and for some reason it doesn't, it should, in order to write this in such a way that it sounds like I've actually done it, right? This doesn't sound like me at all. I wouldn't say dear anyone, I would say hi, right? And I would sign everything with .b, and like, so this for some reason hasn't triggered. I think I know why, but I'll investigate that separately. But I guess here's my cover letter, right? I have, and let me actually do the next steps first, because this is sort of what I should do right now. 10 steps. Here's what I should do, right? Send an outreach. I'll show you that in a moment. But basically, send an outreach, blah, blah, blah. First reply, screening call, qualify. Yeah, so this is kind of if I get past the screening call. 2-minute opening pitch. Here's what I do. Here's what I should prepare for the interview, right? Here's all the things that I should be doing. And how should I send you? Okay, fine. Yeah, well, okay, fine. This is the old one. No, see, now I know why this package doesn't look like me, because this one was the old one before I actually was doing that. So that's why it looks weird. But I guess so this one now cover letter. But here's also the other thing, right? Here's the 200 character outreach that I can use in order to send a message to Linus, who is the hiring manager, I think, if I remember correctly. And if they have a profile open, I have a longer one, right? And it focuses on sort of the things that are important. I'm Norwegian. Okay, they're in Stockholm. So yeah, well, I guess so. Here's a message that I can send them. It looks a lot better, I think. We can look at that later. But basically, here's that thing, right? So, and an overview of the package. Like here's just the briefing of like here's what we have. Here's what we should go through, and things that I should just be aware of. And then because again, this is made by content engineer, and content engineer is my agent. It knows me. It really wants me to be happy. So it'll just, I if you ask content engineer, I could grow wings and fly tomorrow. So I have this verification step here where again that independent researcher role will go through every single claim in this package, right? Both sides. Like, is this company actually real, right? Okay, maybe researcher for some reason just invented the company, right? Is it real? Okay, fine, we need to investigate that, we need to verify that. It says fail here. That's usually because it's very, very, very careful about making claims that I can't back up with actual evidence. So in this case, here's it says for Freebird Romeo as a short stint silly company, but basically, I was listed there as technical lead. Okay, so it doesn't say CTO, but yeah, well, I guess fine. It's not like you're literally lying. As I said, I have this across these roles. Technically, I guess I was a technical lead on Freebird, but I guess okay, fine. And then there's additional ones like here's what we need, here's what I claim, or here's what the customized or tailored resume claims about me. Do we have this unnamed, not formally deployed, which is technically also true, I guess, because I don't think that reporting platform that I built at Cloud Printer was actually ever deployed to anyone. So technically, that's right as well. Again, they're details, but it's very, very strict, so that when I go and I can sort of take this tailor, I know I hate reading. I can't read. So if I were to read every single one of these customized resumes, and so my head would explode. I just can't do it. Even though it's like it's 20 lines of code, it's like, well, am I actually going to study every single line here and verify that it's actually true and using the correct? No, of course I'm not going to do that. So that's why this sort of package exists, and it just helps me so that I can be fairly confident that when I take this now, copy and paste it into a write a document or PDF or whatever, submit this, that I'm not actually saying here that I cured cancer and I invented vaccines, because those claims would definitely not be correct. So, and it also again just helps me to know that the actual package that's here with the data and everything actually matches what's found externally, right? It's not that content engineer is trying to make me happy. Rob is not trying to make me happy. Job Hunter is not trying to like pad its numbers, or none of that happens. This is actually real stuff, right? I actually see this of all of these claims being made in this entire file that you've seen here for this particular job. 78 of them are perfectly fine. 3 of them are needs to be reviewed, and these are typically like primary contact. Are we sure that he is actually oh yeah, exactly. So like, technically he's not going to be the primary contact, right? Okay, fine. uh, this is something that I need to review, but I guess it'll give me a lot of information and tell me if this is actually a real thing, right? So we know, especially when packages and then when context become long, and we have all of this data here, that agents can be confused and they can start sort of losing track. It's called something called the lost in the middle problem. And so if we just hand it all of this data and we say, hey, you know what, make me a good resume, it'll miss out on stuff. So this is why sort of this verification step here exists. And it helps to, if there's stuff here that I need to know about, right? I become fairly good now. We can look at the other one. I'm assuming this one is done right now. Yeah. Verification failed again. You can see here. Now we have this package here. and you'll see what it's focusing on, Colombia, blah, 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 target role, selected proof points, experience. It will focus on things here, cover letter. Yeah, again, still, that's, I don't know why it doesn't do this. Uh, yeah, I don't like this. But I guess I wouldn't, as I said, use this in any case. Um, Things I might have been using is like the tailored resume because again I hate writing those things, but I would probably just go and say, hey, here's the person that I need to look at. Go and talk to this person. I write my own outreach messages. I write my own outreach messages. I don't trust AI to write anything for me. And I would just go through and just say, hey, you know what? Here's the thing. Here's 10 blockers. Founded a product in the different sound. Gives only the role company and dates for Della Casa. Ah, okay. Do not describe a company. It wasn't actually a company. It was just a bunch of apps that I made using AI to help my girlfriend with her home-based business, and I just packaged it up as Della Casa. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. So yeah, this is the sort of the end goal, if you wish, of this particular app. I have here this package. I have the research. I know which jobs I'm applying for, and all of these things happen largely without me needing to do a bunch of things, right? Because that's the thing that I hate about AI right now, or about job searching right now, is that there's so much. It's so easy to just throw one of those easy apply things, and it's so easy for, again, for the recruiters to just say, yeah, we looked at it, and like 17 seconds later they've reviewed your profile and said you don't match. Okay, fine. This gives me a slightly better chance. It gives me the details that I need in order to reach out to the right people and things like that. So it sort of changes the other. If nothing else, it makes the job searching a bit more interesting. And then I think and I hope when I pick this up again that it'll or if I pick it up again, I don't even know if I'm going to be using this anymore. I've sort of switched my interest a bit to working more in terms of advisory and sort of with clients instead of work as a job. Um, and I want to create some books and things like that. But in any case, if I pick this up again, I think this is a much more interesting way of working with things, right? And keeping in mind all the stuff that we're doing right now, the research that I did right now, if I go and look at my usage here, oh, okay, fine, it's just switched over like literally 20 minutes ago. But it's not using that much tokens. And I run all of my agents that run this and my content work and my book reviews and checking my LinkedIn stuff and all of those things. My director when I'm creating content, and my startup, which is a mental health professional app startup. Um, all those things run for like $50, and that's because the design of this system is made in such a way that it's like really really efficient. It does exactly what it's supposed to be doing. I don't need to re-explain everything. Like this content here, I'm fairly certain is accurate, right? And I'm fairly certain it's accurate because I've spent a lot of time making sure that Rob has the information that Rob needs in order to give me the answers that I need, right? Because I don't want to spend neither time nor tokens on sitting here and having a long conversation and explaining to Rob how the system works or where to find the files or whatever. It's like, here's what you know, here's your role, this is what you are, and go and tell me like why is this a problem with the remote thing or whatever. So yeah. But anyways, here's the job system. It's been roughly 40 minutes now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and comment below whatever people are doing now. And I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you again in the next video.